Have you ever been the person everyone relies on? But still felt like you were not the important one? You remember the plan, you solve the problems, and people appreciate you, but still you feel like you're not special, just like Sokka. He does everything right, solves the problems nobody else even notices.
It was my decision to stay when things were going wrong. It's my mistake, and it's my job to fix it.
And when people talk about Team Avatar, they remember Aang or Azula. Sokka is just the comic relief, the guy with the boomerang and nothing more, because he does not have any bending powers. He represents the hidden question wandering in everyone's mind. What happens when your greatest strength is being useful, but not special? To find the answer, let's go back to where it all began. Sokka does not start as a hero. He was a kid giving war training to other kids. In the first episode, The Boy in the Iceberg, the men of the Southern Water Tribe are gone, and Sokka is left behind with the village.
I'm going home to where stuff makes sense.
So he lines up the boys and tries to teach them how to fight. He tells them they have to be ready for the Fire Nation. Then the joke lands. His army is 6 little boys, and one of them says he has to go to the bathroom.
I gotta pee.
Sokka looks ridiculous. He wants discipline, but he cannot even keep the kids focused.
Listen, until your fathers return from the war, they're counting on you to be the men of this tribe. And that means no potty breaks.
The war has already reached this tiny village, even before a Fire Nation ship arrives. In this moment, Sokka is acting serious because someone has to. That is the first thing the show tells us about him. He is not powerful enough to protect everyone, but he is not afraid to try. And that is where the wound starts. Sokka is surrounded by people who have something inside them that proves they are special. Katara has waterbending, even before she knows how to use it. Aang comes out of the iceberg and turns out to be the last airbender. Sokka does not get that. Nobody looks at him and sees destiny, and when you don't get attention, you have to build a role. So Sokka becomes the serious one, the one who talks about war when everyone else wants to play, the one who holds the club, watches the sky, and acts like he knows what to do. But that role is dangerous, because you start believing you are only worth what that role can do for other people. The first humiliation. Sokka's first real change comes from getting dropped on the floor. When the group reaches Kyoshi Island, Sokka wakes up tied to a pole. His blindfold comes off, and he sees the Kyoshi warriors standing in front of him. They are not men. They are girls in armor, makeup, and green robes.
Show yourselves, cowards!
Sokka cannot accept it. He asks where the men are, and Suki tells him there were no men. They attacked him. Sokka still laughs it off and says there is no way a bunch of girls took them down. That is the easy version of this episode. Sokka is sexist. Suki embarrasses him. Then he learns that girls can fight, but it is not the whole thing, because Sokka is being taught that his idea of being useful is too small. At this point, Sokka thinks usefulness has to be loud and tough. It has to stand with a club and talk like it knows what it is doing. That is the role he has built for himself, because without bending, the role is all he has. Then Suki breaks that role in front of him. She does not need to prove she is stronger. She just uses skill, timing, and control, and Sokka loses. He gets exposed by the kind of person he had already decided could not beat him. That is interesting, because a lot of people stop there. They get embarrassed and make excuses. Sokka almost does that. He says they snuck up on him. Then he calls their training a dance lesson. But then, something interesting happens. Sokka comes back. He goes to Suki and says he would be honored if she would train him. Suki even asks if he still wants that, even though she is a girl, and Sokka says he was wrong.
I would be honored if you would teach me.
Even if I'm a girl?
I'm sorry if I insulted you earlier. I was wrong.
That is the real moment, because Sokka becomes useful for one reason most people miss. He can survive feeling stupid. He can be wrong. And after all of that, it does not make him special. And by the end of the episode, he understands just enough to apologize. When Suki is holding off Fire Nation soldiers, Sokka tells her he treated her like a girl when he should have treated her like a warrior. Suki answers that she is a warrior, but she is also a girl.
What about I'm sorry?
For what?
I treated you like a girl when I should have treated you like a warrior.
I am a warrior. But I'm a girl, too.
That line hits hard because Sokka's mistake was that he thought being useful meant becoming one hard thing with no room for anything else. Suki shows him that he is wrong, but it also creates a new problem, because now Sokka knows effort and getting better matter. So if he keeps trying and keeps learning, but still feels ordinary next to everyone else, then what does that mean? Maybe the problem is not that he lacks skill. Maybe the problem is him. He just trains children like soldiers. He just turns fear into a job. And for a while, that job is the only thing making him feel like he belongs.
The suspicious one was right. In Jet, Team Avatar meets a rebel fighter who looks like a hero.
Jet has a group of kids known as freedom fighters who believe in him. To Aang and Katara, he looks like proof that someone out there is fighting back. Sokka does not buy it. At first, that makes him look small. Jet gets Katara's attention and makes the war feel exciting. Sokka looks like the boring guy trying to ruin the fun. But when Jet and his fighters attack an old Fire Nation man, Sokka sees something the others do not want to see. The man is weak and scared. He is not a soldier. Sokka tries to stop Jet from hurting him, but Jet says the man is Fire Nation, and that is enough.
I know you all want to fly, but my instincts tell me we should play it safe this time and walk.
Who made you the boss?
I'm not the boss, I'm the leader.
Later, Jet lies and says the old man had a knife with poison in it. Aang and Katara believe him, but Sokka does not. That is where Sokka's lack of specialness becomes useful. He has no bending to save him if the story is wrong.
See, Sokka? I'm sure you just didn't notice the knife.
There was no knife. I'm going back to the hut and packing my things.
So he looks for the ugly details. Who is lying? Who is in danger? Who gets hurt if everyone keeps trusting the cool guy? That is not cynicism. That is survival. And Sokka is right. That night, Sokka follows Jet and discovers the truth. Jet plans to destroy a dam and flood the village of Gaipan, killing Fire Nation soldiers and innocent civilians alike.
But what about the people in the town? Won't they get wiped out too?
Look, Duke, that's the price of ridding this area of the Fire Nation.
This is where everything changes. Sokka turns the Fire Nation's own traps against Jet's fighters and reaches the village in time to warn everyone. That is Sokka at his best. What looked like jealousy was judgment. What looked like insecurity was the courage to question the wrong hero. But even after saving everyone, Sokka isn't suddenly special. He's still the only one without bending. That's the burden of being useful. You save the day, and the world keeps going. The non-bender finds the weakness. There are some problems you cannot punch your way through. That is where Sokka becomes dangerous. Aang can fight, Katara can waterbend, Toph can shake the ground, but someone has to understand the system. And more than once, that person is Sokka. You can see it clearly in The Drill. The Fire Nation brings a huge drill to Ba Sing Se. The machine is built to break through the outer wall, and from the outside, it looks impossible to stop. The Earthbenders throw rocks at it, but that does not work. Toph can slow it from outside, so Sokka goes inside with Aang and Katara. Where most people see a giant machine and think about force, Sokka thinks about design. Then he reads the schematics and finds the weak point, braces that connect the inner mechanism to the outer shell. If they cut through those braces, the machine can collapse.
Why are you all looking at me?
You're the idea guy.
So I'm the only one who can ever come up with a plan? That's a lot of pressure.
And also the complaining guy.
That part I don't mind.
That is his gift. He looks at something that seems too big to stop and asks where it breaks. And that same pattern shows up again in The Library. The group enters Wan Shutong's library looking for a way to end the war. While everyone searches for answers, Sokka finds a burned piece of paper with one line: "The darkest day in Fire Nation history."
The darkest day in Fire Nation history. It's got a date at the top, but it doesn't say anything else.
Most people would ignore it, but Sokka doesn't. The Fire Nation records are gone, so the answer isn't in a book. Then they discover the planetarium. Katara suggests entering the date from the paper. The moon moves across the sun, and Sokka figures it out: a solar eclipse.
Wow, I gotta hand it to you, Sokka.
For a few minutes, firebenders lose their bending. One clue becomes the biggest weakness in the Fire Nation. That's the difference between being special and being useful. Special abilities are easy to notice, but usefulness starts with a question. What does this mean? Why was it hidden? Then a moment comes. Before the day of Black Sun invasion, Sokka has the Mechanist make eclipse glasses so everyone can safely track the eclipse. While everyone else is thinking about the attack, Sokka is thinking about timing. That's what useful people do. They notice the step everyone else skips, but there's a cost. The more useful you become, the easier your value is to miss. And if you're the kind of person who solves problems before anyone else sees them, you already know how invisible that can feel. The episode that says it out loud. In Sokka's Master, the group has just helped a town. Aang can fly around on his glider, and Toph can use earthbending. They all have a way to step into danger and make the world answer them back. Sokka is sitting there with them, and for once, the joke does not cover it. He tells them he feels bad because he cannot do what they do.
It's just, all you guys can do this awesome bending stuff, like putting out forest fires and flying around and making other stuff fly around. I can't fly around, okay? I can't do anything.
He feels like he is the extra piece in a group that already has everything. That is the wound the whole show has been hiding under jokes. The easy version is that Sokka wants a sword because swords are cool. And yes, Sokka thinks swords are cool. He walks into the weapons shop, tries things, and hurts himself because he is still Sokka. The show still lets him be funny.
Stopping! Maybe a little something to reinvigorate my battling. Hey, how about these?
But that is not really what this is about. Plans disappear after they work, and jokes vanish after people laugh. Even when Sokka helps, the proof does not stay in his hands, but a sword does. A sword says, "This is mine. This is the thing I trained for, made, and earned." So when he finds Master Piandao, the point is not that Sokka suddenly becomes special. The point is that Sokka starts learning the long way. He does calligraphy. He works in a rock garden, and when he finally makes his sword, he uses a meteorite that falls from the sky. He turns a strange piece of rock into something that belongs to him. That is the whole character in one object. Sokka does not discover a hidden element. When the universe gives everyone else a gift, Sokka has to build his, and that should fix everything, but it does not. Because getting proof is not the same as feeling enough. You can earn the skill, you can get the weapon, you can even have a master tell you that your mind is different in a good way, and still, some part of you can wonder if everyone else is living on a level you will never reach. That is where this stops being only about Sokka. The viewer mirror, because maybe you know what that feels like. Being useful. Useful enough that people call you when something breaks. Useful enough that you become part of the room, but not always the reason anyone came into it. That is a strange kind of pain, because people just value what you do. So you become the reliable one, the one who knows where things are, the one who can take a joke. And after a while, people stop checking because you trained them not to. You made being fine part of your job. You made your place in the group depend on what you could give or fix. That is not just low self-worth. It is of instrumental worth. And once you live like that for long enough, rest starts to feel wrong. Being ordinary feels like you are about to vanish. That is why Sokka's joke's important as pressure valves. If he can make the plan, he has a role. If he can find the weak point, he has a role. And if he has a role, he gets to stay. That is the hidden trade, but that is also the trap, because the moment he does not know what to do, the whole thing starts to shake. So what happens when the person who always makes the plan has to walk into a place where no plan should work? Leadership without power. That place is the Boiling Rock. A place so locked away that even getting there feels like a mistake. And Sokka goes there without bending. At first, the mission is simple. Sokka wants to find his father, Hakoda. He and Zuko take a war balloon and fly to the prison. The balloon gets destroyed when they arrive, so the escape route is gone almost right away.
Dad. Excuse me, coming through. The warden wants me over there, sorry.
That is such a Sokka problem. The plan breaks before the mission even starts. But Sokka does not stop. He puts on a guard uniform, and then he finds someone else, Suki, leader of the Kyoshi warriors. The mission was supposed to be about his father, but Sokka's real gift is not just planning, it is replanning. A bad strategist falls apart when the first plan dies. Sokka gets sharper and starts building a new way out with what he has. Zuko is there. Suki is there. The prison itself becomes part of the puzzle. That is when Sokka starts using the cooler. Sokka sees a punishment tool and turns it into an escape tool. The plan is to unbolt the cooler and use it like a boat across the boiling lake. That is pure Sokka. Instead, he asks what a thing is supposed to be. He can leave with Suki and Zuko, or he can stay and try to save Hakoda too. So he stays. This shows his usefulness is deeper than cleverness, because Sokka is not just solving a puzzle. He has to work with Zuko, a person he barely trusts yet. He has to protect Suki. He has to keep thinking while every new detail makes the plan worse. That is leadership without power. Sokka is not the strongest person in the prison, but he is the reason stronger people know where to go, and it works. Because he can keep moving through failure. He can use the wrong thing the right way. And even here, the show does not turn him into some perfect genius. He is still afraid, and still asks what the next move is. The final battlefield. Nobody notices the finale gives everyone the battle that fits them. Aang faces Ozai, and Zuko faces Azula with Katara. But Sokka gets airships. At first, that can feel smaller, but it is the trick. The airships are the thing that turns Ozai's power into mass destruction. So Sokka's final battlefield is the system that makes the villain dangerous. That is why this fits him so well. Aang fights the symbol, Sokka fights the logistics. And in a story like Avatar, that matters more than it sounds. Because evil is not only one powerful man standing on a cliff. It is also the ships and the plan that lets one man hurt people he will never even see. That is the kind of thing Sokka has always noticed. He looks at how that power moves. So when Piandao gives him the map and tells him the airship base is on an island near the Earth Kingdom shore, Sokka understands the job. He needs to reach the fleet before the fleet reaches the people. That has always been his role. When Sokka, Toph, and Suki reach the airships, Sokka tells Suki to steer. Then he uses the ship's speaker and pretends to be the captain. He tells the crew to report to the bomb bay for hotcakes and sweet cream because there is a special birthday to celebrate. That is the Sokka pattern one last time. He turns the room, the rules, and even his own sense of humor into a weapon. But the show still refuses to make him magically special. When the fight gets worse, he gets hurt. His leg breaks. His boomerang is gone. He ends up hanging from the side of an airship with Toph holding on beside him. And for a moment, there is no clever plan left. That is the real test. Because it is easy to call Sokka useful when he has a map, a joke, or an idea. But here, he is injured, trapped, and almost out of options. He is still just a scared person who has no bending to catch himself if he falls. And he still acts. He sees the soldiers coming, so he throws what he can, when he can, and buys enough time for Suki to return with another airship and save them. That is the final proof. Sokka does not become special at the end. He becomes proof that special was never the only way to matter. He does not defeat Ozai. He does not take a throne. He does not glow with ancient power. And maybe that is the most honest ending he could have. Because Sokka was never the miracle. He was the person making sure the miracle had a world left to save.
Now I would love to hear from you. Do you think Sokka was ever truly appreciated? Or was he simply needed? Share your thoughts in the comments.